Listen carefully. What if the people closest to you, the ones you trust the most, the ones you laugh with, cry with, and share your life with, are slowly draining your energy without you even knowing it? It's a hard truth to face, but it's a reality many of us live with. Sometimes the people we love the most carry within them a kind of energy that's toxic. An energy that pulls us down, stifles our growth, and leaves us feeling exhausted and empty at the end of the day. This isn't about blaming anyone or labeling people as bad. It's about recognizing a pattern that quietly undermines our well-being, and it starts with awareness. If you can learn to notice this energy early, you can protect yourself, heal, and create space for those who truly uplift you. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with someone you care about and felt more tired than before? Maybe your chest feels heavy, or your mind is clouded with worry, doubt, or frustration. That feeling isn't random. It's a signal, your inner self telling you that something in that interaction didn't sit right with your spirit. The most dangerous toxic energy often hides behind familiar faces, wrapped in kindness, concern, or even love. But beneath the surface, there might be criticism disguised as helpful advice, jealousy masked by fake smiles, or control hidden in concern. These subtle forms of negativity chip away at your confidence and joy. Think about it. Relationships should be the fuel that energizes us, the safe harbor where we can rest and be ourselves. But when the energy is toxic, that harbor becomes a storm that tosses us around, making us question who we are and what we're worth. It's a slow poison. It doesn't have to shout or slam doors. It can whisper doubts, twist words, and make us feel small, unworthy, or stuck. And when this happens with those closest to us, it cuts deepest because it shakes the foundation of trust we build around love and family. It's important to understand that toxic energy isn't always about what people do. It's about how they make you feel. You might not notice a single bad action, but you'll definitely notice a bad feeling. If you find that after spending time with someone you feel depleted, anxious, or uneasy, pay attention. These feelings are your mind's alarm system. Don't silence it. Your well-being depends on honoring those feelings and asking yourself why they're there. Often, we hold onto these toxic relationships out of loyalty, fear of confrontation, or hope that things will change. We tell ourselves they're family, or they don't mean it, or maybe I'm just being too sensitive. But denying the impact of toxic energy on your life is like ignoring a fire in your house because it's uncomfortable to face. Eventually, it will consume everything if left unchecked. You deserve better. You deserve peace. You deserve relationships that nourish your soul, not drain it. So how do you begin to detect this toxic energy? Start by tuning into your own emotions and physical sensations. Does your heart race or feel tight after talking to someone? Do you feel a knot in your stomach or tension in your shoulders? These physical signs often accompany emotional stress. Notice if you're walking on eggshells, afraid to share your true thoughts or feelings around certain people. That's a red flag. Also, watch for patterns. Toxic energy rarely appears in a single moment. It's a repeated cycle. Maybe someone constantly criticizes your choices, dismisses your achievements, or talks behind your back. Maybe they only reach out when they need something or never respect your boundaries. These behaviors are not about you. They reveal their own insecurities and struggles, but you don't have to carry that burden. Most importantly, remember that detecting toxic energy is not about pushing people away without compassion. It's about protecting your energy and deciding what kind of relationships you want in your life. Setting boundaries, speaking your truth, and sometimes stepping back are acts of courage and self-respect. You don't owe anyone your peace of mind. This is not an easy journey, especially when it involves those you love. But you must choose yourself. Your happiness, your mental health, your growth. These are sacred. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your light, who listen without judgment, who lift you up even on your darkest days. When you learn to detect toxic energy, you're not just protecting yourself, you're giving permission for better things to come into your life. Healing begins with awareness, and awareness leads to change. So listen carefully to those feelings inside you. Trust them, because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to see clearly, step wisely, and choose the energy that helps you become the best version of yourself. Understanding what toxic energy really means is a journey into the heart of how we connect with others and how those connections affect our inner world. It's not just about bad moods or occasional disagreements. Toxic energy is something deeper, something that slowly erodes your spirit over time. It's a force that creeps into your life disguised as normal behavior, subtle, persistent, and often confusing. To truly understand it, you have to look beyond surface actions and tune into the undercurrent of how certain people's presence makes you feel and what impact they have on your overall well-being. Imagine the energy in a room like the atmosphere around you. Sometimes it's light, warm, and uplifting, filling you with hope and motivation. Other times it's heavy and thick, pressing down on your chest, making it harder to breathe or think clearly. That heaviness is what toxic energy feels like. It's not about one argument or a bad day. It's the constant drain that leaves you feeling depleted after every interaction. When this kind of energy comes from those closest to you, it becomes even more painful because these are the people you expect safety and love from. Instead, you find yourself second, guessing, doubting, or even feeling trapped. Toxic energy often hides behind behaviors that seem harmless or even caring on the surface. It can come through criticism masked as helpful advice, passive aggressiveness wrapped in jokes, or emotional manipulation disguised as concern. When you're caught in it, you might feel like you're walking a tightrope, constantly trying to avoid triggering conflict or disappointing someone. You may feel your confidence shrink little by little, as if your light is dimming without you quite noticing how or why. This slow erosion can leave you feeling isolated even in the company of friends or family because the energy doesn't support you, it depletes you. It's important to recognize that toxic energy isn't always about what people say or do, but how they affect your emotional and mental state. If you often feel anxious, drained, or restless around certain people, that is a sign. Your body and mind are wired to respond to energy, to pick up on subtle cues that something is off. Sometimes you may feel tension in your muscles, a tightness in your chest, or a pit in your stomach. Other times, you may experience mood swings or sudden bursts of sadness or anger without a clear cause. These are all signals that toxic energy is present, even if the words spoken seem kind or neutral. Understanding toxic energy also means realizing that it's not your fault. Toxicity in relationships often stems from the other person's unresolved pain, insecurity, or fear. When someone constantly criticizes or belittles you, it usually reflects their own struggles rather than your worth. But while it's not your fault, it is your responsibility to protect yourself. Knowing this helps you shift from feeling victimized to becoming empowered. You can start to see these dynamics clearly, without shame or confusion, and begin to make choices that honor your peace and well-being. Another aspect of understanding toxic energy is recognizing the difference between healthy conflict and harmful patterns. Every relationship faces challenges, and disagreements are a natural part of human connection. Healthy conflict allows space for growth, mutual respect, and understanding. Toxic energy, on the other hand, thrives in repeated cycles of disrespect, control, manipulation, or neglect. It's not about a single fight or hurtful comment. It's about the ongoing impact that leaves you feeling small, unheard, or unvalued. When these patterns dominate, the relationship becomes a source of stress rather than support. When you grasp what toxic energy really means, you begin to see your relationships in a new light. You start to pay attention to how people make you feel rather than just what they say. You notice whether your interactions leave you feeling alive and hopeful or drained and uncertain. This awareness becomes your compass, guiding you toward healthier connections and away from those that harm your spirit. Understanding toxic energy also opens the door to compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. You learn to forgive yourself for staying in harmful situations longer than you should have, and you develop the courage to set boundaries without guilt. You realize that protecting your energy is an act of self-love, not selfishness. It's about creating a life where your heart and mind can thrive, surrounded by people who respect and nurture your true self. This understanding is the first step toward healing and transformation. When you recognize toxic energy, you gain the power to change your environment, your relationships, and ultimately your life. It's a process that takes patience and courage, but it is one of the most important acts of kindness you can offer yourself. Because you deserve a life filled with light, peace, and genuine connection, free from the weight of toxic energy that dims your shine. There is something deeply unsettling about realizing that the people we care about can sometimes bring us pain instead of comfort. Toxic behavior often doesn't arrive with a warning or a dramatic clash. It sneaks in quietly, like a shadow over a sunny day. When it comes from friends or family, it can be confusing because these are the people we expect to support and love us unconditionally. But the truth is, even those closest to us can show signs of toxicity that hurt us emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward protecting yourself and reclaiming your peace. One of the most common signs of toxic behavior is constant criticism. It's not the gentle, constructive feedback that helps you grow, but the kind that chips away at your confidence. It's the comments that make you question your choices, your worth, or your abilities. When criticism comes repeatedly and without kindness, it weighs heavily on your spirit. You begin to wonder if you're ever good enough. What's worse is when this criticism is masked as concern or tough love, making it harder to see the real impact it has on your heart. Another sign is manipulation, often disguised in subtle ways. Manipulative people twist words, use guilt, or play the victim to get what they want. They make you feel responsible for their feelings or problems, even when you shouldn't. This behavior drains you because it creates an emotional imbalance you're always giving, always trying to fix, and rarely receiving the same care in return. Over time, this one-sided dynamic leaves you feeling used and invisible. Jealousy is a toxic energy that can lurk beneath smiles and seemingly supportive words. When someone is jealous, they may try to undermine your achievements or happiness without openly admitting it. They might downplay your successes or create competition where none should exist. This kind of behavior plants seeds of doubt and insecurity, making you question whether you can truly celebrate your victories around them. Instead of lifting you up, they pull you down, either consciously or unconsciously. Controlling behavior is another red flag. When friends or family try to dictate your choices, who you spend time with, or how you live your life, it's a clear sign of toxicity. Control comes in many forms: direct demands, passive-aggressive comments, or subtle pressure that makes you feel like your freedom is slipping away. This behavior limits your growth and silences your voice, which can leave you feeling trapped in a relationship that should feel safe and freeing. Emotional inconsistency can also be a sign of toxic behavior. Some people swing between warmth and coldness, kindness and cruelty, making you walk on eggshells trying to avoid upsetting them. This unpredictability creates anxiety and confusion. You never quite know where you stand or what mood you'll face. Living in this emotional roller coaster can wear down your resilience and leave you feeling exhausted and uncertain. Another sign is a lack of respect for your boundaries. Healthy relationships honor personal limits, whether they are about time, space, or emotional topics. Toxic people often ignore or push past these boundaries, dismissing your feelings and needs. This disregard communicates that your well-being is less important, and that can be deeply hurtful. When your boundaries are repeatedly violated, it chips away at your self-respect and sense of safety. Finally, toxic behavior often involves a lack of genuine empathy. When someone can't or won't understand your feelings or perspective, it creates distance and loneliness. Instead of feeling heard and supported, you feel unseen and unheard. This emotional disconnect makes it difficult to build trust or intimacy, which are essential for healthy, nurturing relationships. All these signs can manifest differently depending on the person and situation, but they share a common thread. They drain your energy and diminish your sense of self. The hardest part is often acknowledging these signs because it means confronting uncomfortable truths about people you care about. But recognizing these behaviors is a powerful act of self-care. It means you're choosing to honor your feelings and protect your heart. When you see these signs clearly, you begin to understand that you deserve relationships where respect, kindness, and support are the norm, not the exception. You learn to value your peace over the need to please others or keep the peace at your own expense. You start to see that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. And with this clarity, you give yourself permission to step back, to heal, and to cultivate connections that nourish your soul rather than deplete it. Toxic behavior doesn't define the people who show it, nor does it define you. But it does define the kind of care and attention your heart needs. Spotting these signs is the first step in reclaiming your power, protecting your well-being, and creating a life surrounded by those who truly cherish and uplift you. You deserve nothing less. The impact of toxic relationships on our emotional and mental health is profound and often underestimated. When the people around us carry toxic energy, it's not just an unpleasant experience, it penetrates deep into our sense of self, influencing how we feel, think, and even how we see the world. Imagine carrying an invisible weight every time you interact with someone whose energy drains you. Over time, that weight grows heavier, and it becomes harder to find joy, peace, or clarity in your own life. The emotional toll is real, and it shapes much more than just the moments spent with that person. When you're caught in the web of toxic energy, it's common to feel a range of overwhelming emotions. Anxiety creeps in like a shadow, making you question your decisions and second-guess your instincts. You might feel trapped in a cycle of worry, wondering if you're doing something wrong or if there's something inherently wrong with you. This kind of persistent anxiety isn't just stress, it's a signal from your mind and body that something is out of balance, that the environment you're in is not safe or supportive. Depression can also take root in toxic relationships. The constant negativity, criticism, or emotional withdrawal from someone close can make you feel isolated and hopeless. When the people who should be your support system instead drain your energy and diminish your worth, it's easy to start believing the lies that toxic energy tells you, that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve happiness, or that change is impossible. These feelings can become so heavy that they cloud your days, making even the simplest tasks feel monumental. Your self-esteem, the very foundation of how you value yourself, often suffers the most in toxic environment. When someone constantly undermines your worth, whether through subtle digs or outright harsh words, it chips away at your confidence. You might start to doubt your talents, your beauty, your intelligence, or your ability to make good choices. This erosion of self-worth makes it difficult to stand up for yourself or to believe that you deserve better. It traps you in a cycle where you tolerate more pain than you should, simply because you've forgotten your own value. Mental exhaustion is another invisible but devastating effect. Toxic relationships demand constant emotional labor. You find yourself analyzing every word, trying to anticipate moods, managing conflicts, and walking on eggshells to avoid triggering anger or disappointment. This constant vigilance leaves little room for relaxation or authentic connection. Your mind feels like it's always on, tired from trying to navigate a minefield of emotions and reactions. Over time, this mental drain can lead to burnout, where you feel completely depleted and unable to engage fully with your life. Physical health can also suffer under the strain of toxic relationships. Emotional stress often manifests in the body through headaches, digestive issues, fatigue, or even changes in sleep patterns. Your immune system weakens because it's constantly battling the stress hormones flooding your body. The connection between emotional pain and physical symptoms is real, and toxic energy in your environment is a major contributor to this cycle. One of the most heartbreaking impacts is the loss of trust, not just in others, but in yourself. When you are consistently hurt or let down by those you care about, you begin to question your judgment. You wonder if you misread situations, if you were naive, or if you somehow provoked the negativity. This self-doubt undermines your ability to form healthy relationships moving forward because you fear being vulnerable again. It isolates you emotionally, even if you are surrounded by people. The emotional and mental impact of toxic relationships also extends to how you see the world. When your immediate circle is filled with negativity, it colors your perspective. The world can start to feel like a hostile place, full of threats and disappointments. Your optimism dims, and hope for the future becomes harder to hold on to. This shift affects your motivation and your willingness to take risks or pursue your dreams because deep down, you feel unsupported and alone. Yet, amidst all this, there is a spark of hope. Recognizing the impact toxic energy has had on your emotional and mental health is a crucial step toward healing. Awareness gives you the power to say, "This is not who I am, and this is not how my life has to be." It opens the door to reclaiming your peace, rebuilding your confidence, and nurturing your well-being. Healing from toxic relationships is not about forgetting or excusing the pain. It's about reclaiming your strength and learning to protect yourself. It means giving yourself permission to walk away, to set boundaries, and to seek out relationships that nourish your soul rather than deplete it. It means valuing your mental health as much as your physical health, and recognizing that the two are deeply connected. The emotional scars left by toxic energy take time to heal, but with patience and self-compassion, they do heal. You begin to rebuild trust, first in yourself, then in others. You learn to listen to your intuition again and to honor your feelings without judgment. You rediscover your worth and your capacity to love and be loved in a way that uplifts rather than diminishes. The journey isn't easy, but it's worth it, because the way you feel emotionally and mentally shapes every aspect of your life. When you break free from toxic energy, you create space for peace, joy, and genuine connection. You open your heart to new possibilities, new relationships, and a life where you can thrive fully and freely. Remember, you are not alone in this experience. Many have walked this path and found light on the other side. Your emotional and mental health deserve protection and care. Choosing to heal is choosing to honor yourself, and that is the most powerful decision you can make. Protecting yourself from toxic energy, especially when it comes from people you love, can feel like walking a tightrope. On one hand, you want to maintain the relationship because these people matter to you. On the other, you feel the weight of their negativity pulling you down, making it hard to breathe, to think clearly, or to feel at peace. The truth is, protecting yourself doesn't mean pushing people away or cutting ties recklessly. It means learning to guard your heart and your energy in a way that honors both your well-being and the complexity of human relationships. The first step in protection is recognizing that you have the right to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls built to isolate you, but fences planted to protect your garden. They are the clear lines you draw around your emotional and mental space that say, "This is where I begin, and this is where I end." When someone crosses those lines, whether by criticism, manipulation, or disrespect, you have the power to say, "Enough." This takes courage, especially when those crossing the boundaries are family or longtime friends. But without boundaries, toxic energy seeps in unchecked, slowly poisoning your peace and self-worth. Setting boundaries begins with self-awareness. You have to know what drains you, what feels like too much, and what you're willing to tolerate. This awareness comes from listening deeply to your own feelings. If after spending time with someone, you feel drained, anxious, or diminished, It's a signal that your boundaries may need reinforcement. Maybe it means limiting the time you spend with them or steering conversations away from topics that trigger negativity. Maybe it means learning to say no without guilt when they ask too much of your emotional energy. These small acts of self-respect accumulate to protect your spirit. Protecting yourself also means learning to communicate your boundaries clearly and calmly. You don't have to be confrontational or harsh. Sometimes a simple, honest conversation is enough. I feel overwhelmed when we talk about this, or I need some time to myself right now. When you express your needs with respect and clarity, you give others a chance to understand and adjust. And if they don't, that response tells you everything you need to know about how much they value your well-being. It's important to remember that protecting yourself isn't about winning or proving a point. It's about preserving your energy so you can be your best self. Toxic energy thrives on chaos and confusion. When you respond with calm and clear boundaries, you take away its power. You reclaim your space and your peace. This doesn't mean you have to change or fix the other person. It means you change how you relate to them to keep yourself safe. Sometimes protection means stepping back, even if temporarily. Distance can be a powerful healer and a form of self-care. It allows you to breathe, reflect, and recharge away from the constant drain of toxic energy. Taking space doesn't have to be permanent or a sign of defeat. It's a way to honor your needs and to reset your emotional balance. When you return to those relationships, you do so with clearer eyes and a stronger heart. At the same time, protecting yourself involves nurturing relationships that nourish you. It's about choosing to spend more time with people who lift you up, who celebrate your successes, and who accept you as you are. These positive connections act like a shield, buffering you from toxic energy and reminding you of your worth. The more you fill your life with genuine support, the less power toxicity holds over you. Another vital part of protection is self-care. When you prioritize your mental and emotional health, you build resilience. This can be through practices like meditation, journaling, exercise, or simply allowing yourself moments of rest and joy. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. It replenishes your energy so you can face difficult relationships without losing yourself. Protecting yourself can be especially challenging when guilt or obligation tries to pull you back into toxic dynamics. You may feel responsible for others' feelings or fear hurting someone you love. These feelings are natural, but remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Your well-being must come first if you want to be truly present and loving, not only to others but also to yourself. It's also helpful to remind yourself that protection is a journey, not a one-time event. You will face moments of weakness or doubt, but each step you take toward protecting your energy strengthens your inner armor. Over time, you learn to recognize early signs of toxicity and respond before it takes hold. You develop the confidence to say no and the wisdom to walk away when necessary. Ultimately, protecting yourself from toxic energy in close relationships is an act of love. Love for yourself and for the people around you. When you protect your peace, you create space for healthier, more authentic connections. You show others how you wish to be treated, setting a standard for respect and kindness. Remember, you deserve relationships that bring light, not darkness, that inspire growth, not fear, that offer support, not control. Protecting yourself is not about building walls. It's about creating a safe space where your spirit can thrive. And in that space, you will find the strength to love fully, live freely, and be unapologetically you. One of the most challenging aspects of dealing with toxic energy in those close to you is learning to forgive, not just others, but yourself as well. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a simple act, something we do once and then move on. But in reality, it is a complex, ongoing process that involves deep emotional work, courage, and compassion. Forgiving doesn't mean excusing bad behavior or pretending the pain didn't happen. Instead, Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the heavy burden of anger, resentment, and bitterness that toxic relationships can leave behind. When someone you love shows toxic behavior, whether it's manipulation, criticism, jealousy, or control, it can leave scars that run deep. The pain of betrayal or disappointment cuts through the heart in ways that shake your sense of safety and trust. You might find yourself replaying hurtful moments over and over, asking why they acted that way, or wishing things had been different. This emotional weight can anchor you in the past, trapping you in a cycle of pain that makes it hard to move forward. Forgiveness offers a path out of this cycle, but it's not a path you can rush or force. It starts with acknowledging your feelings fully, allowing yourself to feel hurt, anger, sadness, or confusion without judgment. These emotions are natural responses to pain, and trying to suppress or ignore them only prolongs your suffering. By facing your feelings honestly, you begin to heal the wounds that toxic energy inflicted on your spirit. Forgiving others also means recognizing their humanity, their flaws, fears, and brokenness that might have driven their toxic behavior. This doesn't mean you condone what they did or have to accept ongoing harm. Instead, it's about seeing that their actions often stem from their own pain or struggles. This perspective can soften the sharp edges of anger and open the door to empathy, even when it feels difficult. It helps you separate the person from their actions and understand that everyone is fighting their own battles. Equally important is forgiving yourself. Toxic relationships often leave us questioning our own worth, decisions, and judgment. You might blame yourself for staying too long, for hoping things would change, or for not recognizing the signs sooner. These self-blaming thoughts only deepen the wound and keep you stuck in guilt and shame. Forgiving yourself means embracing the truth that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It's a powerful act of kindness and self-acceptance that releases you from the chains of self-judgment. Forgiveness is also about reclaiming your power. Holding on to resentment can feel like holding onto a heavy stone. It weighs you down and drains your energy. When you choose to forgive, you set that stone down. You refuse to let the toxicity define you or control your emotions. This doesn't mean forgetting the lessons learned or ignoring the need to protect yourself moving forward. Instead, forgiveness empowers you to move with grace and strength, free from the burden of past pain. This process often requires patience and gentle persistence. Forgiveness might come in waves, some days feeling easier and others harder. You might need to revisit your feelings multiple times as you heal and grow. That's okay. Healing is not linear. It's a journey filled with ups and downs, moments of clarity and moments of struggle. The key is to keep choosing compassion over bitterness, freedom over captivity. Another important part of forgiveness is understanding that it's not about reconciliation unless you feel safe and ready for that step. Forgiving someone doesn't obligate you to rebuild the relationship or expose yourself to further harm. Sometimes, forgiveness is an internal act, one that allows you to let go and heal without reopening old wounds. It's a gift you give yourself to reclaim peace, regardless of what happens with the other person. As you move through forgiveness, you may find a new sense of peace beginning to blossom inside you. This peace isn't about forgetting the pain or pretending everything is okay. It's about releasing the emotional chains that toxic energy wrapped around your heart and mind. It's about creating space for love, hope, and healing to grow. Forgiveness also transforms how you view yourself and others. It nurtures empathy and resilience, helping you become more compassionate, not only toward those who hurt you, but toward yourself and future relationships. You become wiser, stronger, and more attuned to what your spirit needs to thrive. At the heart of forgiveness is love. The love you have for yourself and the recognition that holding on to anger only hurts you. Choosing forgiveness is a radical act of self-care and courage. It honors your worth and your right to live free from the chains of toxic energy. Remember, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a step toward healing and freedom. It may not erase the past, but it changes your relationship with it. And in doing so, it opens the door to a future where your heart can be lighter, your spirit stronger, and your life fuller. You deserve that freedom, and forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools to help you claim it. When you face toxic energy in those closest to you, it's easy to feel isolated, lost in a sea of confusion and pain. But one of the most powerful realizations you can come to is that you are not alone. This journey, recognizing, confronting, and healing from toxic relationships, is one that many have walked before you. There is a community of strength and hope waiting to surround you, even if you don't see it right now. The feeling of loneliness that often accompanies toxic relationships is one of the heaviest burdens to bear. You might find yourself questioning your own perception, wondering if you are too sensitive or if you're imagining the toxicity. You might feel ashamed or embarrassed that the people who should love you unconditionally are the ones causing you pain. This internal struggle can make you retreat inward, hiding your pain from others for fear of judgment or rejection. But here's the truth: your feelings are valid. The way you experience toxicity is real and deserves to be acknowledged. You are not overreacting or making things up. When you realize that others have experienced similar pain, it brings a profound sense of relief. You begin to see that your experience is part of a larger human story about struggle, resilience, and healing. Connecting with others who understand what you're going through can be a lifeline. It might be through support groups, therapy, trusted friends, or even online communities where people share their stories of toxic relationships and recovery. Hearing someone else's journey can give you hope that healing is possible. It can remind you that you are not alone in your pain, and that there is strength in vulnerability. Knowing you're not alone also shifts the burden from shame to courage. It takes immense bravery to face the truth about toxic people in your life, especially when it means reevaluating relationships you once treasured. But when you recognize that many others have faced similar challenges and come out stronger, you gain the courage to take your own steps forward. You realize that vulnerability is not weakness, but a powerful form of strength. Support from others helps you rebuild your sense of trust, not just in people, but in yourself. Toxic relationships often leave you doubting your judgment, your worth, and your ability to create healthy connections. But through shared stories, encouragement, and understanding, you start to reclaim your confidence. You learn that your voice matters and that your feelings are worth honoring. The journey to healing is deeply personal, but it is also communal. Healing is often not a solo act, but a shared experience where people hold space for one another's pain and growth. When you allow yourself to lean on others, you create bonds that nurture your spirit and reinforce your resilience. You discover that healing can be a collective journey where empathy and compassion guide the way. Recognizing you are not alone also means acknowledging the role of professional support. Sometimes the pain from toxic relationships runs so deep that you need guidance from those trained to help. Therapists, counselors, or coaches who can provide tools and perspectives to navigate your healing. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It is an investment in your well-being and your future. With support, you gain clarity and strategies to protect yourself, set boundaries, and rebuild your life. You learn to recognize toxic patterns early, to trust your intuition, and to surround yourself with people who truly care. This network of support becomes a shield against future harm and a foundation for healthier relationships. The sense of community and connection brings a renewed sense of hope. Hope that you can break free from toxic cycles. Hope that you can cultivate love and respect in your relationships. Hope that your heart, once bruised, can heal and open again. This hope fuels your journey, lighting the way forward even when the path seems uncertain. Remember, no matter how dark the experience of toxicity feels, there is light ahead. There are people who understand, who want to walk beside you, who believe in your strength and your right to peace. You are part of a bigger story of healing and resilience, and your journey matters. Embracing the truth that you are not alone is an act of kindness to yourself. It lifts the weight of isolation and replaces it with the power of connection. It reminds you that healing is possible and that you are worthy of love, respect, and happiness. You deserve to be surrounded by those who lift you up and see your value. You deserve a life free from toxic energy. And as you move forward, remember that support is available, and you never have to face this journey by yourself. Your strength is amplified when you reach out, when you share your story, and when you open your heart to the healing power of community.